Welcome, everybody. My name is Frank Klesitz with Vyral Marketing. John Bolos here is a client of our firm, not just his own individual client for agent recruiting, where he publishes educational videos to teach business practices and business principles, tactics, and strategies to help, you know, lead agents of why maybe you should join his team and work with John. He also works with us on the consumer side to stay in touch with buyers and sellers. But recently, he's decided to offer those same services to his top agents as a matter of recruiting and retention. And we're going to talk about all that today. I think where I like to start, John, for everyone who's here, is certainly they want to know the marketing plan of what do you do? How do you use video, email, social media to stay in touch with your database, to get people to call you to sell their house and book appointments? What's the recipe, which we'll go into later? That's the promise of the webinar today. I'd like to hear a little bit about, how your team is set up. And I'd like to hear how, if somebody were to join your team, what is that track of like entry level up to an experience level? And how does the value proposition change and what you offer change as someone moves from, say, on the bottom rung to the top rung of working with you?
Mhm.
Sound good? And then through that, we'll get into near the end of what the actual marketing plan is. Okay. So why don't you tell everyone, for anyone who's not familiar with you, about your real estate team, a little bit about your career, and kind of where your team stands now.
Yeah. Frank, thanks for getting on this webinar with me today. I'm excited to share this information with everybody. A little bit about myself for those who don't know who I am. I'm John Bolos, as Frank said. I have been in the Carolinas serving clients real estate since 2003. And I've done it all from having a private brokerage to owning a Century 21 office, multiple offices actually, running a mega team at Keller Williams, which is what I currently do now. And my longest run probably has been running the online lead generation platform through Zillow, Upnest, all these other lead sources since 2010. So 15 years of running lead gen, and this is my third or fourth time building a team between switching brokerages and buying franchises. And this is definitely the most put together team that I've had in my history career of doing real estate. So we're in a really good
That
place at the moment.
that's a strong statement, man. So you've followed all the different business models out there,
Hmm.
and the business model that you're currently in is the answer.
100%. But at least for me and my team, what's working? Yes,
Well,
this
let's
current model is the best.
well let's speak to that. Can you explain that model?
Yeah, I mean, so right now the team is consistent. We've got about 45 to 50 agents on the team currently, and the model. I have a belief, and my big why, Frank, if I can share that, is like when I moved here to the Carolinas, I grew up in upstate New York. I didn't know anybody here. It was really hard for me to procure my deals. I didn't have a database, so my only option was really lead gen at the time. So it started off as just me and an assistant, doing leads back in 2010. We've now through I guess just over the years have built the best of the best through this, where we've got leads coming in, training up those agents to be the best they can with the leads. But this is what really separates us, Frank, from what's going on with a lot of the other teams there. We actually do care about what the agents are doing on their own personal business. There's so many interviews that I sit through, when we're recruiting somebody, and I ask them what they're doing for personal business. And a lot of these agents that are bouncing from team to team are solely relying on the leads. And while I do feel and believe that leads are a great way to jumpstart your career, that's how I got my career jumpstarted. There's something to be said about the long game of the industry too, of building your database, nurturing those leads, going back to your past clients, and really building the additional transactions out of that. I'll share with you now, Frank. 48% of my business is lead gen, and I'm a huge Zillow guy. Everybody in Charlotte knows me as the Zillow guy, but Zillow is not even making up half the business. The other 52% is coming from self gen with agents and other various sources of leads coming in that aren't from Zillow to kind of give us that number and put us where we're at as far as market share goes.
That's the big differentiator. Is you'll come to your team and you probably have some leads to start them off with,
Hmm.
but there is a track to wean that down to a smaller percentage of total income.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
How does that work? When someone joins your team, where do you start and where ultimately do you end up? Explain to me the career progression as an agent works through your infrastructure.
Like assuming they're a new agent.
Sure.
Okay. If you're a new agent coming in, you're probably going to sit through, I don't know, 6 to 8 weeks of training a couple days a week with my leadership group, kind of grooming you to, be ready on how to handle online leads. But also too, like if we get people that have been in the area for 7, 8 years, we also start having them build their database on the first week that they're here. In fact, I believe they're tasked with something of like having 20 new contacts put in within their first week. And we kind of build them up to get to, 200 contacts, whether that's a combination of leads and personal combined or one or the other. So that's really what this onboarding is about, is really getting them familiar with our systems, with our processes, letting them know who to contact for support, showing them the way on the pipeline and teaching them the art of lead gen, but also planting the seeds for personal sphere database leads right from the get-go. We want to see essentially from these new agents coming in what they're also bringing to the table for us as far as, do they have a database? Do they have the sphere? Are they out doing self-gen right now? We look at all of that when we're bringing them in to help determine how we're going to place them fully into the team.
Do you get a lot of pushback where it's like, no, I don't want to work my friends and family and personal business. I just want you to hand me leads.
Never, especially once they start talking about money and it shows that they'll make an extra 40% paycheck on converting their own personal leads. And then once, I think the hardest part is just getting that momentum going on it. But ultimately once they get that momentum going and they get that ball rolling on the personal deals in their sphere, they become addicted to it too, because now instead of only making 3 or 4 grand on a closing coming in from a lead source, they're making $7,000 to $8,000 now. So it's practically double.
What's the plan for a new agent to work their sphere and the
If
people
they're
that
a brand, yeah, great question. So, I think as the agent progresses, we invest more into their sphere. But right off the get-go, what we do for them right now, and this is about not even involving any services like Vyral or anything like that, but we send out for them one newsletter a month for their entire database. We show them how to call their database 4 times a year to talk about market and just anything else, related to real estate, or if they're friends and family, it doesn't even have to be about real estate, just having that touch point. We also do, which I think is important, Freak. We do 2 company events a year, 2 events a year for the public. Last year, we rented out the Knights Stadium, which is a AAA baseball team here in Charlotte. We rented the whole covered section, had about 200 plus of our clients come out, past, present, and future. And this is the so-called excuse, we'll call it the reason to call your past clients, your sphere, and invite them to this event. So we make this, number one, a touch point for the agent, so they don't have to be nervous about calling and asking for business. Because if your phone rang every time from your friend or family and every time it was about real estate, how long do you think they're going to answer that phone for? Right. So at some point you have to come up with ways to just check in naturally and invite them to an event, send them a Christmas, something that is just not real estate related, to show that you're human and that you're here to offer information and just be there when they need it. Right. And so that's what we really train the agent on at the end of the day, is how to really kind of go in for those touch points, how to utilize our events, and how to leverage. That's a big word I like, Frank. How to leverage the team to help you grow your personal business at the end of the day. But you have to want it. And I think a lot of agents run into, they become lead junkies sometimes, to where they get in, they get a lot of leads in the beginning, and then they forget about building this other piece. And then the market slows down from the lead side. And then they realize, well, if I had been building up my personal business, I could have done an extra 12 transactions last year. So we really make sure to kind of show them the way and at least get them started from the get-go as new agents. And as they become seasoned agents, we actually invest more into them to help them be successful with their personal database.
And before we get to that, can you speak to the human behavior change program, the culture, the accountability of an agent on your team actually doing that? Like, how do you set up the infrastructure where your 1099 independent contractor agents who are new to actually work their own personal business, especially when they have that nice, easy external lead sources coming? How do you balance that and make sure it actually happens?
I think it's, first off, it's getting the commitment from the agent saying, yes, I'm going to do leads, and yes, I want to build my personal business. And then it's just us putting accountability metrics into it. We're big players with Zillow, and Zillow has a huge accountability metric system that, number one, I think plays a huge part in helping us keep accountable, not just with the agents with Zillow and not just with us as the admin group, but as the agent as well. It makes them a better individual business wise to be accountable on other areas of business they want to focus on. So that's why I love an agent that comes in and really gets in with, like, our Zillow Flex program, for example. They start converting and closing deals with it. And then all of a sudden now they're groomed to be accountable. it's a much easier conversation to go into them six
Interesting.
months into their business and say, okay, we know that you're accountable over here. You're doing all this. Let's add this layer onto it now. Now you're going to go into your sphere and you're going to send out market reports quarterly to all of your sphere, and you're going to talk about it and touch base with them. You're going to shoot video. We're going to help you invest into the video with it. We're going to do that newsletter we spoke about, and also to the event. So we kind of start layering all these different accountability metrics up that puts extra pressure on the agent to really make sure that they're reaching out to their sphere. And if they're not holding themselves accountable to it, they're only going to get away with it for a few weeks because they typically meet with either myself or Ken 4 to 6 times a year for a one-on-one meeting, and we'll look at it immediately like, listen, we're doing all of this for you, and you said you wanted to commit to this, and you said you wanted to make X amount of dollars, which equates to this amount of transactions. We know Zillow's only going to bring you this amount. The other portion needs to come from here. What are you doing outside of what I'm telling you to do to really build this? And that's how the conversations formulate.
I never heard it positioned that way. That the success fee that you paid Zillow comes in with like built-in really good accountable sales management to build the accountability habits.
Yeah, people miss that mark a lot. I sit on a lot of consulting calls with people who are really watching Zillow from the stock market, and they always ask me like, "Well, how do you feel about paying a hefty referral fee?" And I tell them, "Well, listen, it's 5 to 10% more than what the market average is." I said, "But the amount of support and training and accountability that we get is priceless." And I think, as I said to you earlier, this is the best iteration of the team that I've had. I give part of that credit. Part of the credit is just from the experience I've had over the years, but a huge portion of the credit as well is probably Zillow's end game of teaching us accountability. My admin staff is better trained. My agents are better trained, and it's just become a really solid group and a culture that's come out of this whole thing now, to where it's just second nature now to have these accountability metrics. They're not just no longer Zillow accountability metrics. Now they're John Bolos accountability metrics that we've taken, adapted, and put into our own systems and tools to help that agent be the best they can.
Mhm. That's great. Thanks for sharing that. That's a helpful
Mm-hmm.
insight. So let's move now into, as someone moves up the leverage track in your business, I'm sure, let's maybe share with the audience what someone gets when they're on your team. If we can get the list. I mean, probably some transaction management, a runner. Will you go through everything except the marketing support that you provide your agents to succeed on the way up?
Yeah, so I think that's the biggest thing they're looking for is support, right? So when a new agent sits in order to be successful, there's a couple key trigger points that they're going to be looking for when they're sitting down interviewing brokerages, right? One of the big ones spoken about is, do you have any leads that you're going to give me, right? I get that question a lot when we're doing these initial phone calls. So leads play a big part into it. Transaction support plays a big part into it. And we take transaction support to a whole nother level. Not only do we have a transaction coordinator that works for the buyer's agents when the buyer goes under contract, but we actually have a full listing department. So when a listing agreement is signed, we do so much of the back end. It's very common in Charlotte for agents to put their own listings into the MLS. We take over once that listing agreement is signed and take over all the back end work, so that agent can be more front focused on selling and kind of reaching out to their crowd, or taking on additional leads. So we prep them up with that. We are an in-office company, meaning we like being in the office. So you'll always find myself, Ken, Jordan, or at least two of us here Monday through Thursday for all morning till about 1 or 2 in the afternoon. We're always here. So we're available. And I think that a lot of agents coming on board want to make sure that I'm not just some figurehead that just meets with them one time and that's it. I like to really be in the mix and make sure the agents know that I'm here for them too. And I'm committed to this just as much as they're committed to the project as well. So that's the type of support we really bring in for them. And then the training, right on top of that, all the training and the accountability that we just talked about there, they're getting that package when they come on too. I don't know any agent that comes into my program that leaves less intelligent, Frank. Everybody leaves a better person from here, whether they were
That's
only six
important.
months or
Yeah,
or a couple of years in, right? You left learning something here, and you're a better real estate agent because you were on this team for a little bit of time.
that's great. So typically on teams, you have your administrative support, you have your coaching and training, you have your culture, you have your office, you provide some level of leads. But throughout the industry, and I've been at this for 16 years, there's this line of how much marketing support do you provide? How
Mhm.
deep do you go into providing your agents with the back end marketing support? Probably because it's very difficult to do. You saw that was a need to provide more of your senior agents. Can you share with the audience your decision to help your agents at a certain production level proactively build their brand beyond just what a brand new agent gets from marketing support?
Yeah, it's funny. I've got a story I'm going to share on that. So there was an agent that was on my team. I had just come to Keller Williams about 5 years ago, and she was doing $0 in production. And she came on board, came into my program, and made $91,000 her first year, 150 her second year, and almost 200 her third year. So what does she do her third year, Frank? She leaves the team. And I said to her, "Why are you leaving the team?" And she said, "You don't do enough focus on personal business, and brokerage XYZ promised me all of these bells and whistles to build my personal business." So she left, and we had a huge conversation as a team. Is like, well, how do we move on from that? What's our takeaway from that? And so that was kind of like the start of us really kind of going in. And this was a couple of years ago now, and this was the start of us really kind of making a bigger push for the agents to be really involved with their personal business, and for us to really have that pillar for them as well too. Because if it, and at the end of the day, Frank, I'll tell you, like, if you don't have somebody who's really on it 24/7 to really help with that marketing portion of it, I don't care what any other brokerage tells you, like, you're not going to be successful if you're not committed and consistent to the project. The person we're talking about, I checked on their profile for this year. They went from doing 40 deals with me to 3 deals this year. 3 deals. That's it. So we know that the marketing package that was promised to them isn't working, and the marketing package that we've implemented in our office, you know, there's some newer things that we've done, which I'm sure we'll get into in a few minutes here. But I have some standing agents that I've been working on their personal business for the last couple of years. One of my top agents, I won't just to keep it anonymous today, he's making 300 plus his cut after all the fees from the splits. He's making 300K, and 150 of it is coming from personal business. And I've put that seed into him about 2 years ago on personal business, checking in with past clients, family, friends. The brother just bought a house. Let's see if we can get the sister as well too through a touch point. And that's what we've really been building on is just that mindset of like going the extra mile to ask for the extra transaction and build out the sphere there. And we have seen success with it. I think the biggest hurdle we run into, Frank, is it's just long game sometimes, right? If I could just share with everybody watching, I've been a member of Vyral now for, I don't know, Frank, 6 years or
Long
so.
time.
And there was a period where I was with you guys for a year and a half, and then I quit. And I said, I can do this on my own, and I'm going to go out and do all this. And I ended up coming back to Vyral like 4 months later because I needed somebody to hold me personally accountable on top of that. Right. So it was this journey I went through. And on top of that, it was long game. And what happened now we're 6 years into it. And now when I send an email out to my database and I'm like, hey, do you want to know what your home's worth? Click here. I get 40 or 50 hand raisers in one email that'll raise their hand saying, hey, I need a CMA for my property. And what I've seen over the years is because I've been consistent with this marketing, not just with me, but with my agents as well and helping them, in this journey of personal business, we have just seen this massive uptick of just personal transactions or a sign call that came in a year and a half ago that we added to the marketing that finally is ready to transact now. All those things now come into play and come in full circle. It just takes time at the end of the day. You need to have an agent that understands that and is patient. And I think the caveat is they can build that personal business here in our team and still get low hanging fruit like the Zillow leads, for example, all at the same time so they can build the ultimate business for themselves.
John, there's so much wisdom in what you just said. I want to go a little deeper on, your agents on your team are being pitched shiny objects of look at all of this great marketing that we're going to do for you if you come over here from that story you shared.
Mm-hmm.
And then inevitably, it's just so common for it to never get executed. You were working with us. Say, I
Mm-hmm.
could do it on my own, hire someone else to do it better in your back. I'll give you my version of the answer of what I think it is. But why do you think it always just falls apart? Is it because there's just not someone dedicated focusing on top of it? Why? Because
I
you have to actually proactively help them build their own
that's
business,
the
not
key of
just
that
give
right
lip
there.
service to it.
Right. So let's talk about that company XYZ. All they did for this agent, because I followed this agent for a few months after they left our team. All they did was they just set up the templates and said, here you go. That's the marketing. And we laughed about it because we said, well, heck, if all they wanted was this template set up, we could have had that set up in 5 minutes and been done with it. But we knew that it goes way beyond that, right? There's just like how Zillow has an accountability piece to us as agents coming in. There needs to be accountability in play. Jordan is someone I've hired very recently on the team, and Jordan's role, when he said, "What's my lead role?" I said to hold all the admin accountable. So I even have somebody in admin holding admin accountable now as our director of ops to come in and make sure we're doing what we're supposed to do. And it's no different to that agent building their personal business. We're doing our quarterly one-on-ones now because we just finished second quarter. And I just met with 2 agents today. And we're talking about their personal business, and not to go all private on it, but we're talking about where they're failing, where they're having grow moments, where they're successful with it, how many they've invited to the company event, right? So I'm holding them accountable to where they're coming into this meeting, not just to talk about Zillow, but just to talk about what are they doing for their personal business because they've expressed the commitment to building that business.
I'll add to that, everything that you said is you have to have a good personal coach to call you and remind you and schedule a time and put something in the calendar to sit down and do it with you. I was actually reading
Mm-hmm.
an interview. I'll go off on a quick tangent. Have you heard about these 6-page memos that Jeff Bezos would make his team read before his
No,
meetings?
I haven't. Tell me about it, Frank.
Yeah, one of the things that's going around all on social media is that when you worked for Bezos, you'd have to write a 6-page memo of what your ideas were at the meeting.
Yeah.
And they asked Bezos, do people read the memos before the meeting itself? And they're like, no, no one would do it. We actually sit there in silence for the first 30 minutes of the meeting and read them because they wouldn't do it unless there was an appointment to
Right.
actually
Yeah.
sit
Yeah.
down and do it. I
Yeah.
thought about you could sit there all day long with the templates and to shoot a video, but human behavior, even at the highest levels of like Amazon, you still had an appointment with Jeff to sit down and do the reading,
It's so funny you say
you
that
know?
because like the only way to get me accountable is I make Jordan put it on my calendar and set
Yep.
an appointment. I
Just
don't
the
care if
appointment.
it's the appointment. And once you put it on my calendar and I see it and visualize it, it's locked in and I'll commit to it.
So it's someone following up and holding you to the appointment to create the content and to do it. And then I'd also add in there what makes Viral unique, of why we stood the test of time, I believe, is the full ownership of the full editorial process of publishing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You have a project manager of creating the content, shooting it, editing it, sending it, posting it, the whole
that's right.
process. And it's not just the individual editor or the writer or the designer that you think maybe you can hire directly to do. It's who owns the Trello board of getting it to point A to point B, coordinating all of it to get it out. And that's another fixed cost hire you have on top of those people.
Mm-hmm.
Just some insights of running viral. Okay,
Yeah.
let's keep going. So, helping your agents build their own brand. So, what did you want to do? I mean, you're a viral customer, you're doing it for yourself. When did the light bulb go off of like, man, I need to proactively help get our agents on video? Start
Yes.
with
And I
that.
think part of that happened with me. It started about 2 years ago because for the last several years, I've been out of production on the buy side, but I was still running the entire listing department, just me and an assistant. And we did over 100 listings, just the two of us. And I said to him a couple of years ago, I said, I can't sustain this forever. We have to branch out and build this listing department team so we can handle all the incoming business. I said, because I can't do it as this one man show. So what happened is it started off with just growing the departments and making sure I had enough people in play. But then I realized that as I was marketing to consumers, I was marketing to consumers on our database that I've never met before. I've never spoken to them because there were so many leads coming in with all the agents here that, I had this epiphany. It's like, well, wait a minute. What if instead of just getting this email on a regular basis from just this guy they've never met, me, what if we were able to actually drill down to the agent level and start doing marketing support in a way to where the consumer knows who these agents are, and now these agents are getting in front of them with consistency to build rapport, and when that consumer is ready to pull the trigger, they can go to contact that agent directly, because the current model, or the model that was set up previously, is they would push the button to talk to me, and 90% of the time they're getting referred out to an agent on my team, unless it's some specialty listing or someone specifically asking for me, right? So that was the switchover, was kind of like, and I think that's when you and I started having this conversation. I was like, Frank, I'm like, I need to change the way I do marketing, because I can't just keep continuing to market that I'm available to give home estimates. I said, because it's not about me anymore. The team has gone well beyond that. I said, I would love to dig in and try to get like our top, call it 5, 6 agents to just to just run with this program and just really duplicate with what I'm doing, because I see the success with what I've done. And I can't even imagine how it would be if it was even more on a localized level with the agent and their specific contact group.
It's getting now, instead of you on video, to your list, which your list became a much more loose definition as you grew.
Yeah.
It's about getting your top agents on video to help them stay with and build their brand proactively with their list.
That's right. In fact, I was getting in front of everybody in the database 2 to 3 times a month. Now I'm only getting in front of the database once a month to make room for these other agents to, to market to their own sphere. That's correct. And their database.
So let's just talk a little bit about the money. I mean, you have to buy additional accounts with us in our Viral for Teams program. How did you think about, all right, you're going to take on this extra fixed cost now, this extra monthly fixed expense to support your agents by hiring us or anyone out there,
Yeah.
but us in this case. How did you justify that in your mind?
Frank, it's a leap of faith in knowing that I'm going to be successful and having the mindset of it. In fact, it's funny because right before this call today that I'm on with you, I had a conversation with Zillow. We had our monthly meeting, and they were talking about how we've built this admin team. And they're like, "Well, how did you know to add that next person on or take on the next expense?" And sometimes, you're not fully ready for. At least for me, I don't feel sometimes I'm fully ready for it. Maybe from either on a financial level or maybe just not there yet. But I know that if it makes sense and I just dive in and do it, I'll fix it up along the way and just make it the best it is. So that's kind of how I was with you. It's like I knew I needed to do it. I knew it was going to cost me X amount of dollars a month for the people I brought in. And I thought to myself, all right, I'm probably going to take a hit in the beginning, just being full disclosure, because I have to build it, get the
Mhm.
database going, the
Yeah.
audience, and the whole thing, right? But I know if I can keep, and the agents that I chose to pick this are people that have been with me for a hot minute, who I know will appreciate it and I know will actually do the work and I know aren't going to just run away after 6 months and I can do this on my own. So I specifically picked them as the target test agents with longevity to really kind of drive this out. And that's the plan. I just know at the end of the day, it's not that it's all long game, but it is a longer game than a lot of agents are used to with lead gen, because people have to get familiar with them, and know that like they can trust you, that you're a viable source of information. And that's really been the journey with it.
So how did you pitch this idea that, hey, top agents that have been with me for a long time, I want you guys to start making videos, which is kind of a scary thing,
Yeah.
and send them literally out to everyone consistently. And they
Yeah.
said, sign me up. How did you do that?
So, with the exception of one agent, I did have one agent that was already doing that pretty well on social media. So, this was a nice compliment to bring him in. But the other agents, I think the other agents didn't really know how to do that. And I think that they were so enthralled on doing lead gen and they were all making, 6 figures plus doing the lead gen stuff, but they didn't really, it's almost like they needed to come to me and for me to say to them, hey, let's talk about doubling your business now. You hit 150K this year. How are we going to get you to 300K? Obviously, you can't be running around with Zillow leads all day at an X referral fee, because that's just going to burn you out. Let's focus on, you've been a Charlotte native now for 15 years. Let's talk about how we're going to build that business up. And the look on the face when I pitched them was like, oh my gosh, I've been wanting to do this for so long. And Frank, it's going to come full circle
Interesting.
of full circle up. I needed somebody to hold me accountable to do this. So I'm glad you're going to do that for me. And we just talked about the accountability piece. And it was exciting to hear the agent say that they wanted that they wanted somebody to hold them accountable to that. In fact, they just, when they posted their first videos a few months ago on it, they posted the videos out and they were all excited sending them to me. And you could tell there's excitement in the air because they're actually taking what they've been watching me do for years and now they're making it a piece of their own.
It's so interesting. We grew up in the business, and I'm sure everyone here watching this, it's like the accountability for making your calls and all
Mm-hmm.
the work that goes into the accountability of making phone calls and your contacts. There's a lot of that that goes into creating the content that's necessary consistently to go out so people get to know you.
Yep. Yeah,
And they were
100%.
excited about it. That's cool, John.
They were excited about that too. And Frank, on that content too, I try not to always make it so real estate-y. Like we provide like, the market reports and different things too. But a lot of times I just have them get in front of the camera and just send a hello touching base video, and just random things. And I like that Vyral gives me a set list of topics too to kind of talk about with them. And I do like that about you guys. You guys always provide to me a whole list of content that I can choose to or not to use. And sometimes we use it and sometimes we don't, but it's great to know that we've got content coming from you guys that I can pull from. And you guys, I'm assuming the content you send me is tried and true for click and open rate too,
Oh yeah.
right? Yeah.
I just
So
posted a link to the topics we recommend that are gold for
Yeah.
each month across the country. And I put that there in the chat for everyone. Wow. Okay. So you brought it up to everyone. They said they were in. Then what?
And then we had to build it out, right? And tell them what it requires. I now started a new department up for them where we just meet just with this group. So it's another meeting huddle set up in the office to where we meet twice a month currently, just to really talk about what's going on. Are you doing the homework? I really want to make sure they're doing the homework, and also too making sure admin was providing what they needed on their end to build out the pages for them. So a lot of it was just kind of getting everybody in that mindset. And now that we're all set up and running, it's just a matter of getting them consistent. And I like the Keller Williams office because there's 4 or 5 places in this office here where they can go film. They have a whole social media room. We have our own social media room. There's some beautiful shots outside. So there's a lot of inspiration to come into this office. And while you're here, do the filming. And in fact, I'm on this webinar today, and before this webinar, I said, well, I'm going to come into the office and I'm dressed up nice for the camera. Let's go ahead and let's shoot the video. So we put the appointment on my calendar last week to come in today 2 hours before and shoot the video for my personal Vyral.
So now let's get a little more into this system. So I created Vyral because effectively a professional service provider, mostly in real estate, needed a good 36 touch database marketing program, like the right effective dose for the
Mm-hmm.
point of diminishing returns on effort to stay top of mind and to position yourself as an expert with your existing list. We were really clear with this with your agents. It's not so much about getting magically found online. It's more about a way to stay in touch with your past clients and your sphere and your leads, the people in your CRM.
That's
And
right.
so will you speak to the marketing plan that you're following and that your agents are following? Because they're all following the same plan for social media and how it's focused.
So you're asking me
Yeah.
what our plan
I
is
like
for
to
that?
hear it from you. I can obviously go through it, but I want to hear the social media plan you're following with Viral. What is the database marketing plan for your top agents?
So ultimately, we do follow the 36 touch points that you're talking about there, right? So there's the newsletter we send out, which is about 12 touch points, and then we're trying to call the entire database 4 times a year. That brings the additional touch points. We're doing social media posting. I'm encouraging. It's funny because we're in the middle of implementing a lot of techniques from Jeff Glover, specifically with the social media as well too. And we've got a calendar of about 5 or 6 posts per week that the agents should be doing. So we're actually currently working with the team on setting those up, coming up with content. I went to Glover's site's got a lot of great content and ideas for anybody listening to this on where to get these ideas and content from on social media, and just how to really spend those days with it. We also further again invite them in twice a month to shoot their videos here. I have all the agents just kind of line up and do their videos. We even have them, do it. I think Frank, you gave me the advice of just having them just do it from their phone. Some of them, so some of them do it that way too. And I mean, really, it's just focused on different things. We focus on market updates. We focus on what you need to do to get your home sold. We'll talk about interest rates. It's just kind of like a mixed bag of what the consumer is getting at the end of the day. But the one thing they are getting at the end of the day is consistency from us. Yeah.
Let's let's go on a bit of a tangent. Jeff Glover, you set up your real estate team to model how Jeff Glover runs his real estate team in Michigan. And for those you don't know, Jeff is like the number one, number two agent right up there in Michigan. Not sure the
Mm-hmm.
exact number, and runs a coaching company where he teaches his systems, Glover U, and you're following a lot of his advice, right?
Yeah, I've been to actually 3 of I think 1 online and 2 in person for Glover's seminars. And I love it because there's 2 things that I take away from his seminars. Number one is to build the ultimate listing agent, right? Because I've really focused on listings first at the end of the day for an agent. So his entire like Plax model on how to set that up, and from the appointment all the way to spreading the word at the end, we love it. And I'm not saying I adopt everything in because every market's a little bit different. So, but we take what we know will work in our market, and we run with that from there. Also, too, like with his marketing, which is plays in part with marketing your database, is that 2 for 1, right? For every listing that you get, you should be getting another lister or another piece of business out of it. And his marketing really takes you through all of that, and that we follow pretty consistently. In fact, part of it's funny because we were already doing like 70% of what he was already recommending doing. It was just nice to really see it again in an accountability fashion on a PowerPoint that I could print down and go to the agents and say, okay, hey, we've been talking about this loosely for the last 2 or 3 years of here's what we need to do. Now here's a system that's tried and true and on paper for you to really kind of follow now. So it's just been we really like the system with him. And like I told you, we don't adopt everything, but we do use a lot of it and we're inspired by this by the platform.
I'm going to post a link to our Vyral Marketing for Teams. This is where, you would hire us of what you've done. So John, you've hired us to execute a lot of this for your agents.
That's right.
I'm going to put this link on here for any team owners that want to see that. It's right here in the chat. And you'll actually see at the very top, Jeff Glover recruiting a top agent to his team with a kind of, here's the value we provide, and as well as an interview about going after experienced agents to see how you can provide more services of leverage to help them build their own personal business, like you talked about. All right.
Hmm.
What I'd like to do is just go through just a little bit of what we promised in the webinar of maybe what we did for your top agents when you sent them over to us, which is kind of nice. You sent them over to us and just got done.
Yeah.
One of the first things we did is we rounded up, not just maybe the 200 people you helped them build when they started with you, but we grabbed all the contacts that they were the contact owner in their CRM, and we
Hmm.
grabbed all the contacts in their cell phone, and we grabbed all the contacts in their email marketing account. So
That's right.
anyone, right? And then we scrubbed them through a service called Never Bounce to remove all the
Hmm.
bad emails. And then we loaded each of those contacts into each agent's own email marketing account, a totally separate walled off email marketing account for each agent, and then up into each agent's own Facebook ad account for a retargeting list. So it's their own
Yep.
account to their own list, right? Then we put together an own personal branded, I would call it like a seller focused website video blog for each of your agents was built.
Hmm.
And then we sent out a reconnect message to all those people that were put into the
That's right.
marketing account, just kind of letting them know, like, hey, I'm going to keep you updated about what's going on in real estate because what you hear in the national news isn't necessarily what's happening here in Charlotte.
That's right.
And that email reconnect message went out. And then once a month, we meet with each of your agents to help them plan what they're going to say for their topics. They can use the standard ones or come up with something custom. All right. We help them understand the plan to make sure they know what they're saying when it goes out to their list. And then the second meeting every single month, we sit down with them on actually a really cool product if they wish to shoot with us or they can shoot in your office. We use a product called Riverside. You should go check it out. I'll put it here in the chat, riverside.fm.
Hmm.
And this is like a studio quality Zoom where a director can hop on and actually coach you through the video and do a good job. And the footage records directly from the hard drive to the cloud so I can grab lossless video footage. And after that, it's off to the races after you got the
Hmm.
content. We have the database, we have the content, edit it, optimize it, promote it, cut it up, post it, email it, get it out. And that's what we handle.
Frank, if I can say something funny, like I didn't even know you did all of that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I say that as a good thing for those watching. It's not that I'm aloof to it all. It's just because I'm running this
You're running
50
a,
agents on the
yep.
team, and this is why I have the need of hiring a company to hold our team accountable for and for someone to do all that. Because if that was done internally with our admin group, it would be a hot mess of getting that
Yep.
all together. We'd have to really build it from scratch. So I want to thank you for you guys being organized to set that all up, because I do feel that is part of the success, right? Of having the right setup from the beginning. I love how you guys parsed all of the contacts instead of me just sitting with them and saying, here's the sheet from KW with 150 questions to jog your memory of contacts here. You guys are scrubbing Facebook,
Everything.
phones,
Yep.
everything, all the
Every
way
level.
in. And I didn't, and it's funny because when I approached you for when we approached each other for this project, I don't think I really thought about all the work that really went into prepping it. I was just focused on, okay, it's content and video and all that. But now that we're a few months into this, I realize now, especially after this conversation today, how much setup you guys really have to do, from landing pages to parsing to setting it up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a lot. So yeah, it's, it's
Yeah,
it's
the
really
call to
helpful to
action
us.
pages go
Yeah.
directly to your agents. The websites go
Yep.
directly to your agents. They have their own email marketing account, their own social media retargeting account.
Yep.
So they really are truly owning and building their own brand with the accountability of the monthly call for the strategy and the monthly call to shoot the video and the ownership of the full editorial process from start to finish. And what I'm excited to give you, John, is ultimately what you're going to want to know is who's doing it. And while you're
Right.
all held accountable,
Yep.
with here's all the emails and posts and
Yep.
everything that was made with all the engagement metrics to
Yep.
deliver
And,
back to
and,
them.
and I think that's why, like, if we talked about that brokerage XYZ earlier that didn't, deliver what they promised, I think it's because, like you guys, this is what like Viral's number one focus is to hold agents accountable for their marketing and advertising to create that platform for them, right?
Yeah.
And I think if you don't have a company or someone fully dedicated to that, and you're a brokerage promising that, now you're just a brokerage kind of having a virtual assistant make some art, make a banner, make an email signature, maybe some social media flyering for them. But there's nobody really checking in on the open rates, the impressions, are they doing the work and whatnot. That is ultimately, Frank, the number one reason why I love working with you guys is you guys really hold us accountable at the end of the day to all of that. And if there's a word today that we're taking away from everybody
Accountable.
watching,
Yeah.
it's accountability and
Oh
leverage are the
yeah.
two words that, for sure. 100%. Yeah.
But fun story, back when we had our, 6,000 square feet office in Omaha,
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska, we had 50 people working in this office. And we had to hire a big expensive company to upgrade our LAN connections for the wired internet. It's expensive to do that. When they came in, they thought we were a call center. Like, you guys are an advertising agency? Like, yeah. But you guys are like set up with like a call center, like of how this works to like
Yeah.
do this. I'm like, yeah, in order for us to do our agency work, we have to like hold the clients accountable to get the content. So that comes first, then the agency work. And they thought it was very interesting of like our model. So like our
Yeah.
actual company was set up
That's funny.
for the accountability, like from the LAN
Yeah.
wire connection guy. So it was very,
That's
very
funny.
interesting. Okay, so let's talk about um uh some of the best topics and content you've published that you can give the audience that has worked the best for you. If you could think back to the videos you've made and the content you put out, or maybe some of the lead generation emails we've sent. Remember some of those emails that we send out to maybe find out what your home is worth and they go back to a landing
Yeah.
page?
Yeah.
What are
So,
some of the
so
messages that just resonate so well right now in July of 2025 when this is being recorded?
I think when I create the content, I try to create content that's relevant to actually what's going on in the market. So, for example, I've been doing this stuff since like well before COVID. So, like when COVID hit, I was giving COVID updates, right? People were eating it up, and I was getting huge open rates as to what's going on with COVID and the market. And then it became, interest rates were rising, right? To homes sitting on the market longer. These are questions. These are like, it's almost like when I'm recruiting an agent, what the pain point is, lack of support or not getting enough leads. It's almost like identifying what the consumer pain points are, right? Like looking at inventory and say, okay, homes now. I just did a market update today. Homes now are taking 45 days to go under contract with a total cumulative days in Charlotte of like 80 something days, right? So now it's a 3 month process to get your home sold. Most consumers don't know that or have questions about that, right? So I'll pick that as a topic and I'll go in and talk about that topic. And then I'll do a call to action about what their home is worth or if they're wanting more information. And I find if I do 2 or 3 videos without a call to action, just posting the info and then do a call to action, I get such a large amount of hand raisers that, Frank, I'm going to tell you, it's overwhelming sometimes. In fact, I was just talking to my assistant today saying one of the growth things that we need to do as a company is that when we do these call to actions, there's so many people that raise their hands. It's almost like, Frank, we need to create a second bucket for these people, and do a
Yeah,
second type of marketing for
yeah.
these people because there's so many people raising their hands with it all. So I mean, these are good problems to have, though, right?
Well,
We've
John,
got
this
we've
is
got
what you're doing with
yeah,
this. Let me
yeah,
articulate it a little more clear. I'm going to post this link in here. You have your 2 educational videos a month where you're not asking for anything. You're just trying to give some knowledge.
yeah.
Okay. And then we have this third message every month that's a direct call to action to like opt in or respond. For example, hey, if you want to find out what your home is worth, click here and let me know. Hey, if you'd like to attend our online home selling workshop to
Yep.
prepare your home for sale, let me know. Hey, would you like to download our free, summer home selling guide? Click here to download it. Hey, would you like to speak with me for a real estate strategy call to plan your next move? Book a time on my calendar link. Hey, we have investors, we have off-market buyers, we have institutions that will buy your home without having any showings. Would you like a free cash offer? Click here to get one. Right?
That's a big one.
Yeah, that's probably like your
That's a big one.
that's the
Yeah,
big
yeah.
one. Yep.
hmm
That and find out what your home is worth are
That
your
and
two
what the
most
home is worth
popular.
are the
Yep.
two popular. Yeah.
The one we're doing this month is a little bit unique. It's let me know what your dream home is. And if it comes on the market or I see it coming up in my private circles, I'll let you know. that
It's
generates a
funny.
buyer
I,
lead.
I I just saw that email that you guys posted, and I had two people raise their hand within 5 minutes of that email when it came in, which I thought was interesting. And that was a newer email. Like I haven't seen it come from that angle from the buyer
Yeah,
finding the dream home. So it
yeah,
was
and I
interesting to
told
see
them just
that.
to reply. I didn't drive it to a landing page. I just told
No,
them
it
to
was perfect. They replied to me directly, and I replied back, and I got them on
beautiful.
a. It was done. It was perfect. Loved it.
Thank you. I
Yep.
put a lot of work into that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
That's right.
exactly how it's supposed to work. I'm glad
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
shared that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this month was the dream home sale notification, which is kind of what I'd call that right hook,
Hmm.
in addition to the two video jabs
Yeah.
to get the response. Next month, by the way, in August, um, you have a good relationship with your lender.
I do.
You're going to send out an email to your list to get a free mortgage rate quote
It's funny because I
after
was just
Trump
thinking of.
Trump passed the bill and
Yeah.
with the bond market and whatnot. If you want to know what mortgage rates are really doing right now and you want to know all your options, request a rate quote and you can just send that over to your mortgage person.
It's funny. You and I must be in synergy because I was just thinking in my head, Frank needs to do a lender one next.
Yeah.
So it's
I
just
mean,
so funny. Yeah.
it's funny. I actually put it in August because usually that's when like, and I just kind of follow like the bond market. It just the the free mortgage rate quote is going to be great because we're going to adjust that given what's going on in Congress and what's going on with rates and
Well, isn't
inflation.
this week like Happy Crypto Week? Isn't there a bunch of stuff going on in Congress this week? They're signing a bunch of things.
There's a bunch of stuff going on. Like
Yeah. Yeah. There is.
the inflation report just came
That's
out
right.
because of the tariffs and whatnot. So that's
Yeah.
what's really nice about those lead campaigns is they're written to enter the conversation going on in the consumer's head right in the
Hmm.
lead of the copy. And I'm really excited for that. So that's the offer in August. September, you and your agents, by the way. So this isn't just you, this is your agents are sending these out. Is join my VIP buyer list. Would you like access? I'm gonna be careful with the language. To like our coming soon listings or off-market opportunities where the seller has requested not to put them online. Now,
Hmm.
there's been changes in the past year with that, but the point is like what you're trying to do is sift the buyer leads to find the ones that are a little more motivated to sign up to your VIP buyer list.
Yeah.
And the VIP buyer list, those are the people that you vet out with proof of funds and intent and ability to close. So when you go to the marketplace with I may have a cash offer for you, you can bona fide back it up with these individuals.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm glad we're working on it together because I've been loosely working on that for the last year and a half to where I already have a list. And that is our goal is to send out like this almost like pre-listing, pre-market of hot stuff that is not on
Yeah.
MLS yet, but coming
VIP
soon type thing. But
VIP buyer list.
not officially coming soon, like
Correct.
pre-marketing VIP. Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah, just like, through my word of mouth, how real estate's been done for since real estate existed.
Yep.
And the key with the VIP buyer list is that you just make sure that you can reasonably say with the preponderance of the evidence that they have the intent and the ability to close.
That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, one more in December. I'll give you one more offer. This is good for the audience to hear. I think you kind of get the context of making fun videos, but what really
Hmm.
drives the needle in December is the free pre-listing renovation estimate. Is your home
Yeah.
maybe dated or damaged? Maybe you've owned it for 20 plus years and maybe you want to unlock with the equity and you're thinking of selling. If that's the case, you might want to consider putting some low cost remodeling improvements into it upstream of when you want to list to maximize your ROI. And if you'd like us to work with a contractor to figure out what those are, call us.
Yeah, we even have some companies that will finance and bring it out to closing. So if somebody can't afford to do the repairs, we've got some ways to get those repairs done for that consumer, so they can still get top dollar for their house. So
Mhm.
we'll definitely brainstorm together on that for sure.
Yeah, so your agents are going to get, when someone joins your team and gets to that level, they're going to get the accountability
Hmm.
to create the helpful videos so someone gets to know you,
That's
right?
right.
Don't ask for much, just kind of give. And then every month we'll show up with an offer like the ones that we shared to see if we could spike response on the foundation of the trust that was built at scale through
Hmm.
video.
Yep,
Cool.
that's the plan. Yeah,
That is
love
the
it.
plan.
Yeah, that is the plan.
That is the plan. All right. So we have about 10 minutes left. We have a good number of people watching. If you have any questions for John, ask. We're here live. This isn't one of those recorded, you know, fake live webinars. We actually are here. So go ahead and have everyone here should be able to write a question, and you can also write it in the Q&A. The goal here of this webinar was how do you leverage yourself with video, email, social media? That plan that John's following is the system with viral marketing enhanced even deeper with Jeff Glover's social media system, which you can go to Jeff Glover's site and get that. I'll put that here. Then I also posted some of the topics that
Mhm.
you can use, and also post some links to some examples of what does all this stuff look like when it's done. All right, so Kevin Williams asks, what are your top 5 things for agents to do to build their personal brand? Maybe just rephrase in the top 5 things that we covered today.
Yeah, I mean, number one, they've got to have a database, right? If you don't have a database, you can't really, market it anyway. So we encourage them to help them build their database out, right? So that is absolutely first on there. Number two, I actually, have the content that we're providing to them too, whether it's coming from me or from Vyral Marketing. My team has that content to work with them on. Number two, putting the systems in place, the mail campaigns, the channels, the website, the landing pages, all of that to make them feel that they're not just part of the John Bolos group, but they actually have their own personal branding. And I think that's really key and important, is to make sure that they feel that we're not this behemoth coming in and just swallowing up all of their identity, right? We're still creating this spot for them, this website and this marketing campaign, so they have their
John, what you
identity.
just said there, we have to go deeper on. When did you make what you just said is such a not discussed thing, and you just said it, is at some point your agents feel like they're building your business and not theirs.
That's right. Yep. And I
That
and I, and I, and I
that's
that is
unspoken, and you
I
just
have
said
been,
it.
if you could name it, like, agents throughout my 15, so I've been running teams for 15 years, in the business for over 20, but 15 years on teams. If you ask me why top performers left each time, it really comes down to that, Frank. As to, they felt that they were building up my business and my company, and they weren't really making a name for themselves at the end of the day. And I think a lot of agents, like when I do an interview in the recruiting process, I hear that pain point from agents. Oh, I was just another number at so and so's group, or all that group did was all the listings and sales had to be recorded under their name. I never got any credit, so I couldn't really build out my personal business. That sucks. To do all this work and not get any of the credit, or feel that you have a voice to build your own branding. So yeah, I mean, if I became successful, I would have that thought of leaving and creating my own thing too. And that's what, again, what's really separates our team from just about every other team out there, is we really do care about that agent's voice, making sure that, because it's a team at the end of the day. It's not just me. It's building their voice, their audience, and just continue to market them so they can actually feel that they've got their own branding and their own piece of the real estate industry, and not building somebody else's real estate team out. So Kevin, I hope I answered most of that, but it really came down to just really us providing consistency with them, the marketing material, the systems in place, and just content. Those are the top things I would focus on.
Any other questions, guys, that you'd like to ask? I'm
It's
gonna,
2 to 3 videos, I'd say, right, Frank? It just depends.
yeah. So the viral system, again, when you pick a marketing system, let me preface this. You're trying to create the right recipe where you get the maximum benefit for the least amount of work. I would call it the point of diminishing marginal returns on effort. And that answer lies somewhere in on the foundation before you get into the daily social media posting, which is something else that Jeff Glover will teach you, which is very helpful, but not what Viral does, is 2 high quality, longer form educational Q&A style videos a month, too. First and the 15th, let's say, going out and posted and optimized and out. And then 1 lead generation message a month, no video, just a direct response email that goes out, all text, usually back to a landing page,
That's
or in
right.
the case of this month, just reply back. All right, which got you 2 solid
That's right. I
conversations.
forgot. I forgot the call to action is an email based. So yes,
No,
Kevin,
there's yeah, there's no video in
it's
the.
two videos and 1 email that goes out to them.
And Kevin, what I'm going to do, if you take a look at step 2 of the viral system, that's what John's doing right there. I think a lot of this, John, is this is what we're communicating to your agents
Hmm.
constantly. Like, here's the
Yep.
plan. You got to follow the plan. Because you lose focus on the plan, you just start kind of like slopping content all over the place online, hoping you get found, and nothing really drives from it.
Hmm.
And if you follow step number 2 of that system, it'll drive from it. So 2 educational videos a month, 1 lead generation message a month. And then can you also speak to a little bit about the 5 social media posts a week from Glover that you have your agents do?
Yeah. So so it's funny because we're still it's not
That's a
perfected
lot.
yet. So just it's
A
a
lot.
lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
Full.
But ultimately that content consists of shooting something personal once a week. I don't have the exact days in front of me. I don't have the content, but it's shooting one video a week that's like personal, right? There's a day of rest. There's a day of posting your new listings going up. There's a day of just posting about market trends or something viable to real estate. There's something that's non-real estate related, whether it's posting your at a restaurant that you're at or a new store that opened, or there's a whole list. And I think all that stuff's on. I think that's shared on Glover's site too under the
Yeah.
content, Frank, where they can go grab all that. And I
Mhm.
apologize for not having it all in front of me here for today's call, but it is getting up consistently daily and just shooting these 30 or 60-second videos. And these videos aren't professionally edited, guys. I used to be afraid to get behind the camera, and I would take multiple takes of shooting, and I would spend an hour sometimes creating a 90-second video to kind of set out. And now I just get in front, and within one or two takes, I've got it. And it should be the same for the viral campaign you're doing and the social media campaign you're doing, especially as you become more comfortable with it. You can edit and do different things, and people like to see if someone stuttered on a word. People like to see those normalcies and see that you're human through it too. So I've really found to just be as natural as possible is the key to success on that.
I can't remember the real estate team I saw this with, but everyone would get in at about 7:30, 8 role play practice, and they would hit the phones from like 8 to 10. And they would take their cell phones and like set them aside in like a cubby so they could focus on 2 hours of like real work without getting distracted. And then at 10, 10:30, whatever, they would take a little break. When they came back, they would hand the cell phones out and say, everyone, we have 15 minutes. Go shoot your video and go post to social media. Run off, go do it. Come back, put the cell phones away, back on the phones till like noon.
Sounds like a Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry mixture right there.
Yeah,
It does.
100%. Right. So it
Yeah.
was just like this behavior change program of everyone doing it together.
No,
And it was interesting at one of Jeff Glover's seminars. You may have been there. He had literally everyone in the room pull out their cell phone,
he's done
and
that. He's done
everyone
it. Yeah.
recorded
Yeah.
the video at the exact same time just to get it done and get it out
Yeah.
without overthinking it. Jennifer asks, as a solo agent, and now my husband came on board. For me, consistency in marketing is really hard, and we have a full-time job too. What do you recommend? Also, our clients are mainly Spanish speaking. Thank you.
So I guess first and foremost, like as I just said earlier, it shouldn't take you that long to film the content, especially once you get rolling in it. So if you have the full-time job, you know, I think it's almost like going to the gym, right? You're going to have to set some time aside daily and get conditioned and hold yourself, here we go, accountable again to make sure you really want to do this, right? And then the second part of your question is, what do you recommend? Because our clients are mainly Spanish speaking. Right off the cusp, what I would recommend doing is if that's the market you're trying to go after, I would be going to the groups and the events happening locally here and making yourself that voice and collecting as many contacts as you can to put into that database. And then doing, content that's really driven towards that community if you're trying to really hit the Spanish speaking community. Throughout my years, I've had several agents join my team that were part of the Russian community or the or like a Greek community last year, and a lot coming in from the Latin community as well too. And they're those communities are very tight knit. And so once you can get in with trust with them, you can really open the door to a lot of different opportunities. But I think that you have to play the part of being involved with those communities too, right? So if you're trying to really get to the Spanish speaking, community, and you're working a full time job, my recommendation would be for you to really start trying to pull contacts into your database from attending Spanish speaking community events to build that up and let people know that you are so essentially so you can be top of mind for them when they're thinking about real estate.
We have a client that shoots two videos. He shoots one in English, one in Spanish. We put both in the emails. Watch the one in English, watch the one in Spanish.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
liked doing that as opposed to doing subtitles.
Yeah, and Jennifer also too. I know that you're already working full time, but again, and this isn't a plug towards Frank, but I just want to say to you, like, if you're telling me here in your message that it's hard for you to be consistent in marketing, you need someone to hold you accountable. All right, and I think that for the small amount that Viral charges, okay, if you think about that over the year and the ROI of what it really costs, which is like a deal or two to really put this whole thing together for you, I mean, it's I can't even imagine us not having it here, to really have this here. Our marketing campaign wouldn't be the same if I didn't have somebody accountable like I do at Viral. So Jennifer, if you're really serious, I would highly recommend you've got someone holding you accountable for that marketing.
And as you were sharing that, thank you, John. Much
Yeah.
appreciated. I'll add to that, holding you accountable and taking full ownership of the editorial process from
Hmm.
start to finish. This came just across my email, the lead generation message that you sent out for the dream home sale that got those people to
Yeah,
respond back to you. I'm gonna give it to everyone here. Here is the lead generation message for the dream home sale notification example. There you go, everyone.
perfect.
John, how does someone get a hold of you if they're interested in working with you in some way?
I'm gonna post my number right here in the chat right now for everybody and my email.
I'll put my number too.
If anybody's got any questions, I get a lot of spam, so maybe send me a text so I know you're a human and I give you a call back. I'm really quick at responding, but I get like 200 calls a day, so
You
send me
know,
a text.
hold on, John, speak to
Yeah,
that. I've been saying that for years of like, I think you should text first, wait like a minute, and then call.
we're talking about for leads or anything. Yeah. So that's
Anything.
I want to tell you that's our common practice. So like if anything, so like yes,
Because
Frank.
what we're talking about
So
is some pretty crazy.
so if we're talking just me talking to you, Frank,
Yeah.
I don't think I pick up the phone and just dial you. There's a text. Hey, you got a second? So there's a prep of like this calls coming in. It's the same ultimately, even with the leads coming in. Like if we book a lead with Zillow, my agents are instructed to send a text that says, "Hey, this is so and so. You just inquired about Zillow. I'm going to give you a call in a
Yeah.
minute from
This
this
is my
number
phone
if it's
number. When it
okay."
comes across, this is who it
Yes.
is.
100%. And
Yeah.
that has proved invaluable. And it's funny because we just started doing that in the last 18 months or so, and it's been a game changer.
I think that's going to change culturally throughout the world.
Yeah.
That's how a call's going to be initiated.
Yeah.
All right, mark our words.
That's right.
July 2025. Everyone's gonna start texting before the call. So we're in agreement there. It makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don, thanks so much for sharing this insight. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. It
Great
was
job
great. And
today.
thank you. Thank you, Frank. And I really appreciate what you guys have done for our company. And I'm looking forward to continue to build that. And thank you, everybody, for watching today and hearing what we're doing. Appreciate it.
Great job, everyone. We'll go ahead and hop off. John, have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.